After the next speaker, it will be 3 minutes. Geoffrey Clifton-Brown.
Adhere to your 3-minute rule. The message from this debate should go out to Vladimir Zelensky and the Ukrainian people that we salute their bravery. They have suffered grievously. This has become, in just 7 months, one of the biggest refugee catastrophes that the world has seen since the Second World War. Over 7 million people displaced within Ukraine and 7 million people to the rest of Europe. Over 14,000 people dead or wounded. Hundreds of people grievously suffered from war crimes, of torture, of sexual crimes, as the Honourable Lady has just made clear, and as my honourable friend said, the kidnapping of hundreds of innocent children. Quite simply, we have to help the Ukrainian people win this conflict, because if they don't succeed in driving the Russians out of Ukraine, no country in Europe will be safe. And therefore I congratulate my government on the support and help that they are giving to Ukraine, as outlined in the very comprehensive statement made by the Armed Forces Minister today. And I am delighted that the new Prime Minister has made it very clear that we will stick by Ukraine for as long as it takes. And contrary to what some speakers have said today, I do not think necessarily that this is going to be a quick end to this conflict. No. I think there's all sorts of twists and turns that could happen. And as others have said, although we hope Vladimir Putin's threat of a tactical nuclear weapon is just that, we cannot be sure. So we are absolutely right to give that help. And I understand the British people are suffering through their cost of living grievously from the cost of energy and also the cost of food. But we must point out to them, as their politicians, that if we don't continue to support Ukraine throughout this conflict, they will suffer even more. Finally, the really issue that I want to talk about is grain. We haven't heard anything about grain in this debate. At long last, the United Nations Food Programme has, with our help, with the United Kingdom's diplomatic help, has negotiated some grain shipments to cross the Black Sea, out through the Dardanelles, and into some of the most vulnerable and poorest people in Africa. We must make sure that that programme continues. It is absolutely vital for some of the poorest people in the world. And we must do all we can to prevent the Russians stopping that programme. So I just say to all my constituents who have so generously hosted the Ukrainian people, and I've met some of them, I've had a meeting with them, please continue to do that. I know it's difficult in some cases, but please continue your generosity, and for the British people, please bear with the privations you've got caused by this war. It's going to be difficult this winter. Our government will do what it can, but eventually I'm sure right will come through and the Russians will be driven out of Ukraine.